Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. It's set in the present-day Romania with a young woman pulling into a gas station in the middle of the night. Getting spooked while filling up, she decides to wait in the car when suddenly a vampire attacks her, shown by its aversion to silver. The lady gets out and runs to the station while tossing her lighter at the overflowing fuel, destroying her car and setting the bloodsucker on fire. Finding the place empty, the badly burned vampire catches up to the girl and begins tenderizing her meal while the security cameras only pick up the victim's light. The immortal then drinks the terrified woman's blood, instantly healing the burns of the 16th century vampire Miss Gerri Dandridge. Nearby, a class of college freshmen arrive from America to do a semester abroad. Charley recently broke up with his girlfriend Amy after cheating on her, though he's remorseful and spends his time trying to win her back. His best friend and roommate Ed tells Charley that being single is the best thing that could have happened to him as they watch an attractive young woman enter the building across the street. On the very first night, Charley witnesses the woman being pleasured by the vampire Gerri, who herself's aware that she's being watched. She bites the woman in front of Charley, so he calls over Ed to confirm what he's seeing, but they turn back to an empty window. After being told about their first class starting tonight, Charley finishes unpacking while Ed watches an episode of a horror reality show hosted by the television personality Peter Vincent. His show's called Fright Night, and he's currently in Romania filming the episode on Dracula's castle and the person behind the myth. He records his show video log style like he's Bear Grylls on location, but has a film crew of a dozen people who keep screwing up the shots. At their first class that night, Gerri makes an entrance and reveals herself to be the students' art teacher who intends to show them the bloody history of Europe. She gives Charley a sinister look, and the next day the class are taken on a tour of Dracula's castle, where the guide explains how the Count was inspired by the real-life Vlad the Impaler and a woman named Elizabeth Báthory. She was a Hungarian noblewoman from the 1500s who was said to bathe in the blood of virgins to retain her youth. That night, Charley gets back to the hotel late to find Gerri sucking the life out of a man while still being aware of him watching. After killing him, she disappears, so Charley begins looking around only to receive a jump scare when Ed gets back to the hotel. The next morning, Charley falls asleep in class, so Gerri enters his mind using her psychic powers to slit Amy's throat and wake him up. Charley still doesn't get anywhere with Amy, while Ed remains oblivious to the teacher being suspicious and just thinks his friend has an obsession with her. Later that night, while the police are investigating the missing man, Charley gets home to discover that he's alone as Ed snuck out to the haunted castle. He notices Gerri sneak out her window to avoid police and depart the building with what looks like the corpse of a person wrapped up. When the cops leave, he decides to scale the building and break into the vampire's apartment to look around before she gets back. The windows are covered with ultraviolet filters, but Charley isn't there for long before Gerri comes home with a hypnotized woman. He hides and stumbles across a hidden room behind the bookshelf containing a bathtub filled with fresh blood when suddenly the vampire enters. Taking shelter inside Gerri's nearby coffin, Charley watches as the now withered vamp uses her shadow to strip the woman down. She then tastes her blood before using her telekinetic powers to slit the girl's throat and drain the rest of it into the bathtub. Crawling into the tub, the blood restores her youthfulness, just like the stories of Elizabeth said it would. Charley tries to get some evidence on his phone, but his camera doesn't detect the vampire, who knew all along that he was hiding inside her coffin. Charley uses the flash to get away and runs outside to try to call the police, but only because Gerri lets him, as she can sense there's something important about him. The police don't believe Charley when he mentions a vampire, so he goes to Amy's apartment only to find that Gerri's already been invited inside. He accuses Gerri of being a vampire in front of Amy, but she doesn't believe him, so Charley uses a Bible to prove it, but she doesn't budge. She's able to take the book and calm Charley down, confirming to Amy that Gerri isn't really a vampire, but waves to Charley on the way out, revealing a burn that the crucifix on the Bible cover left. With him seemingly gone crazy, Amy kicks Charley out, telling him to leave her alone, and he returns to his room as the sun begins to rise. His prankster roommate Ed helps him in researching his theory that Gerri's really a vampire, and they learn that Elizabeth Báthory is also known as Countess Dracula. The pair go online and look up artwork depicting her origin story of a vampire killing her escort, but when it bit Elizabeth, the sun rose and it was scared away. She too became a vampire and has ever since hunted for the blood of a special virgin that would break her curse and allow her to walk in the daylight again. Now convinced that Gerri's actually the Countess, Ed shows his friend the works of Peter Vincent, and they plan to ask for his help since he happens to be in Romania. They find him drunk at the local strip club, but he's dismissive of their claims that vampires exist in favor of watching the dancers. He changes his mind when offered $2,000 for Peter to just make an appearance at Gerri's apartment for one night. When the show ends, the three go to the nearest subway station and run into Amy, who's still angry but decides to tag along. She still thinks that it's a result of Charley's delusions, while Peter needs another $1,000 to convince him to continue with the shenanigans. When they enter a subway car, Peter's the first to notice Gerri waiting for them, and her black eyes scare him away just before it departs. She then confronts the students, revealing to Amy that she really is a vampire who already sucks some homeless dude dry. When she attacks them, Ed fails to defend them with a picture of a crucifix, so Charley sticks the real thing into Gerri's eyeball. It allows the couple to escape, but Ed's trapped and tells the others to leave him as he sacrifices himself to the vampire. Instead of draining this one, Gerri revives Ed, allowing him to become her vampire minion, living up to his nickname of Evil Ed. Amy and Charley flee into tunnels beneath the subway, where Gerri follows and uses her abilities of echolocation by chattering her teeth. She locates the duo and corners them in a crypt, but they manage to find a tunnel that leads into a building, only suffering a scratch on Amy's leg. When Gerri ascends after them, she realizes they've entered a church and begins smoking, so retreats into the tomb that they crawled out of. After tasting Amy's blood, Gerri realizes that she has the blood needed to break her centuries-long curse and goes back after them. The pair make up and catch a taxi to the airport, but Gerri suddenly appears on the road, destroying the cab as it crashes into her. They're unharmed, but Gerri abducts Amy and takes her to Dracula's castle, where she has a swimming pool filled with blood that she plans to bleed Amy into. Meanwhile, Peter's having another drink and is preparing to leave Romania when he's attacked by Evil Ed in the bathroom. He's there to kill him for being a fraud, but Peter produces a cross tattoo on his chest that burns Ed and gives us a cool under the skin shot. The cowardly minion flees with half a melted face, and by the time Charley gets to the club to ask for Peter's help, he's gone full vampire hunter. He still refuses to help Charley, just charge into Dracula's castle and remains at the club with his metal stake, said to have killed Vlad the Impaler. Meanwhile, Gerri prepares the entranced Amy for the ritual, telling her that she needs to kill her true love for the curse to be broken. When she says that she still won't harm Charley, Amy's taken into the pool of blood, where Gerri turns her into a vampire. Just then, Charley arrives with holy water, garlic and steaks after being told by Peter that vampires turn back into humans if you kill their master. He prepares to save his girl, but gets attacked by his best friend, who takes some powdered garlic to the face when Ed tries to attack him. He keeps coming, throwing away Charley's steak and pinning him to the floor, but Charley defeats Evil Ed by shoving a bottle of holy water down his throat, causing Ed's stomach to explode. The best friend dies as Gerri takes Charley and tosses him into the pool with Amy, where she leaves them alone to reunite. Now a full-fledged vampire, Charley still can't bear to attack her, but Amy, lacking her own willpower, throws him around and bites his neck. Gerri re-enters to watch the ritual's conclusion, but before Amy can kill Charley, he slips away and stakes himself in the chest. It prevents the ritual and Amy begins to decay as Gerri frantically rushes to save her valuable virgin, but Charley turns into a vampire himself and removes the stake, which just missed his heart. He recovers alongside Amy, but Charley's not under Gerri's control since she didn't bite him and tries to kill her. But even with his supernatural powers, Gerri easily defeats him and pins him down to the ground. She gives Amy the order to finish the ritual, but just as her minion's about to kill him, Peter shows up, throwing his stake into Gerri, who retreats into the pool of blood. She recovers almost instantly from the stake and returns to target Peter after first transforming into a monstrous creature. She slowly walks him down while Amy remains under her control and is still trying to kill Charley in the pool. Both about to die, Charley's told by Peter of the sunrise, so he uses the vampire's ability to sonic scream and shatters the stained glass windows, letting in the light. He grabs Amy and hides underneath the blood with her while the Countess Dracula melts away into a puddle. Amy and Charley revert into humans as the curse is lifted, and they share a disgusting, no doubt disease-filled kiss before leaving the castle. Outside, they part ways with Peter, who says that he only returned to make sure Charley survives so that he can cash the check. As he drives away, Charley gives Amy some protection in the form of a new crucifix before they share a final kiss. And the movie ends.